Okay, welcome to the new class for this semester, Morals and Ethics. Some thoughts on morality. Let me see. Might be Jeremy. Let me check. No. Okay. So we can go ahead and get started on this. And it is Morals and Ethics based on a lecture that I gave the atheists of Utah called Some Thoughts on Morality. But that was only a page or two. This is going to be many pages. Because it's not just going to be on biblical morality, it's going to be on the various ways and places that people get their morality and why we don't use those, why we use divine command theory, which means God said it, that's it.
Right.
So I will go to the text. There it is, some thoughts on morality, morals and ethics. Of course, we use the Ten Commandments as the foundation for biblical morality. It's not all of biblical morality, but the Ten Commandments are actually 10 categories. They are commandments, but they also cover categories. But that's not where we're going to start. So, introduction. Brother Daniel, would you go ahead and open us in prayer? Because you're going to have a lot of study and you're going to need a lot of prayer for this one. And if you would open us in prayer, Daniel.
O Lord, once again your throne of grace we come before. Praising you and thanking you for another opportunity to learn of you. Oh God, clear our minds of anything that's a distraction to us. Help us do this lessons. Help us learn what you'd have us to learn and to retain it, Lord. Guide and direct us this night as we go through your word and we taste and see how good you are. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Had to adjust something back there. So we will go to text plus cam. Introduction. First of all, we need to ground ourselves, that is, build a foundation concerning what morality is, and of course, what it is not. We will start with some general definitions and broad clarification concerning morality. But first, we must dispense with the common error of common sense. It does not exist, okay?
Amen.
Now, there is something that is built within people that the philosophers call common sense, and we'll get to that, but that varies widely. So what we're going to do. So, all right, let me get this to go back down there. There we go. Okay, common error of common sense. Definition of common sense. Common sense typically refers to the natural ability to make sound, practical judgments about everyday matters shared by most people. It is also the name of a famous historical pamphlet and a prominent modern nonprofit organization. General concept. Common sense is defined as good judgment and or horse sense. When I was growing up, I heard that term a lot, horse sense. Based on the simple perception of facts rather than specialized training. In other words, there were some things that you just knew were right, and some things were wrong. And someone would say something and common sense would say, no, that's not right. But there's a problem with common sense, and that's why we have to get rid of it. So it's based on a simple perception of facts rather than specialized training. Now, these are definitions, okay? Core functions. Core functions. It serves as a baseline for human interaction, the way we relate to other people, the way they relate to us. A universal reference for evaluating the credibility of information and a tool for persuasion. It is not Google. Okay? That's what most people use today. You can Google anything today and you'll get 1 million hits. And out of those 1 million hits, 999,990 of them are probably going to be wrong. They are. Because Google is fed by everybody. So that 1 million hits means you've got probably 10 million people that fed information in, and Google takes it all and mixes it all together and picks the one that is probably the most common. So common sense today is probably based on Google more than anything else. And like I said, 999,990 of them are probably going to be something that is not biblical. So core functions, it serves as a baseline for human interaction, a universal reference for evaluating the credibility of information, a tool for persuasion. Key traits. Individuals with high common sense often display logic, social awareness, adaptability, and an understanding of consequences. They tend to set boundaries, avoid overspending, and prioritize safety. Development. While humans are born with a capacity for common sense through genetic intelligence, it is primarily cultivated through life experiences, learning from mistakes, and observing the world. Historical and philosophical significance. The concept has evolved significantly over centuries of thought. Aristotle, one of the Greek philosophers. Aristotle first discussed sensus communis as a sixth sense that unified the 5 physical senses to perceive qualities like shape and movement. René Descartes described it as bon sens. That might make sense to you. Bon sens?
Good sense.
Okay? Which means good sense.
His thoughts.
An equal capacity in all people to distinguish truth from error. Though he warned it must be used with a strict logical method. Thomas Paine published the 1776 pamphlet, Common Sense, which used plain language to argue for American independence. It became the best-selling American title of its time and was pivotal in the American Revolution. All right. More people bought that little pamphlet and said it made sense to me. Yes, Daniel.
Don't all of these things, subjects that you're bringing up right now, depend upon what worldview a person has?
In some sense, yes. All right. But this is probably more from a scientific worldview.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are just the common definitions of common sense.
We're not supposed to have that worldview, correct?
Common sense media. We will get to that in depth. I'm going to table that particular statement and we will get to it in depth.
Yes, sir.
Common Sense Media. Common Sense Media is a modern nonprofit organization founded in 2003 that focuses on children's safety and well-being in the digital world. Now, what it has to do with the concept of common sense, I have no idea. Because that doesn't even, focuses on children's safety and well-being in the digital world. Media reviews, it provides age-based ratings for movies, books, TV shows, games, and apps to help parents make informed choices. I was talking with Brother Spillman before class, and I mentioned the gal that used to work at one of the Wendy's where Gracie and I used to go when we were living over on the other side. Actually, down further south. And this gal had a very foul mouth, and she worked there.
Oh.
But she was probably 20 or so. And she was not taught anywhere that if you're working in a place of business, you don't use language like that. I mean, it was foul language. But for her, it just came out like she was saying, hello, how you doing? And it just fell out of her mouth that way.
Right.
So I went to the manager, because I used to work at McDonald's, and we would never allow something like that. That person would probably be fired on the spot. And so anyway, I went to the manager lady, which I knew, and talked to her, and I said, you know, privately, nobody else around. I said, really, you need to talk to her. You need to tell her she needs to tone down that language. You need to teach her some. And I told the waitress gal, the worker, I told her, I said, you need to have a little tact when you're conversing with customers.
Yes.
She said, what's that? So I went to the manager lady, who was probably, I would say, probably mid-30s, maybe 40 at the oldest. And I said, you need to teach her a little bit of tact. And she doesn't even know what it is. And so I asked the manager lady, what is it?
She didn't know either.
Isn't that an app?
Oh, gee. Yeah.
Yeah, an app.
Oh, my word.
An app.
She didn't
Isn't
know
that
either.
an app? I said, haven't you heard the word tactful? She said, I think I've heard the word, but I think, isn't that an app?
Oh, my word.
Yeah. So they are not only tact, say those two words real close together. They are not only not taught tact, they have no idea what it means. Okay? So that's, it's an app. No, it's not. Although there probably will be one soon. Okay? Because there are now apps that you can get that can teach you Bible doctrines.
We need apps.
From every kind of religious group you've ever met or ever even heard about.
I don't have that.
So that's Common Sense Media. Page 2, education. The organization offers a digital citizenship curriculum taught in thousands of schools to help students navigate topics like online privacy, cyberbullying, and news literacy. Research. They conduct original research on the impact of technology and media on children's physical and emotional development. Now, you tell me, with what you think common sense means, what does that have to do with common sense? But it's called Common Sense Media. So, why we must dispense with the idea of common sense. Now remember, this is in the overall rubric of morality and ethics. Why we must dispense with the idea of common sense. The word and the phrase that necessitates elimination of common sense in both our discussion of morals, as well as eliminate it as a tool of judgment and expectation. So what necessitates elimination of it is the word common. That word alone places common sense in a narrow context. It places it in the context of, guess what? Commonality.
Imagine that.
Which is relevant to two things. Number one, it is relevant to the culture and even the subculture in which we live and in which it is used as a tool of judgment and expectation, moral or otherwise. The reason I say a subculture. So if you would figure the culture that we live in here, okay?
Crazy.
In Salt Lake, the narrow culture. No, there's subcultures. What is common to the Mormons is not common to us non-Mormons.
Yeah.
What is common to us Christians and the Mormons is not common to the Hispanics that live in this culture, nor to the French that live in this culture.
You wrote this down?
Oh yes, oh yeah. Yeah, and this is a lot, you'll find that when I first gave this, it was in 2000,
Three.
it was in 04 of 04 of 04. It was the 4th day of the 4th month of the year 2004.
Oh, wow.
The reason I remember is I was reading through this earlier, that's mentioned in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
04.
Yeah, 04, 04, 04.
That's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's relevant to the culture and, as we just talked about, even the subculture
Yeah.
in which we live and in which it is used as a tool of judgment and expectation, moral or otherwise. Common sense as far as morality, but common sense is how we relate to other people.
So
Number
common
two-
sense is found on the computer nowadays. Is that what you're saying?
Pardon?
Common sense is found on Google.
Well, that's
Is that
what
what
people
it is?
that's what people use rather than common sense.
I thought it was a gas station.
Mm-hmm. No, that was dollars and cents, wasn't it? Common sense. Oh yeah, it is a gas station. Number two, it also is relevant to the time in which we live and in which it is used as a tool of moral judgment and expectation. What was common here in Utah 50 years ago is not the same as what is common today.
No.
It isn't. Not even 20 years ago. In fact, I would say even 10 years ago. This poses, I'm going to go up a little bit, this poses insurmountable problems which precludes the use of common sense as a tool of judgment and expectation, moral or otherwise. It is a fact that what is considered as moral in our current culture is not necessarily considered moral in a different culture. In fact, the culture that we live in the United States, what is considered moral here where we live is not considered moral in Texas.
Right.
Some of it is, but not all of it. It is also not considered what is moral in California or in New York or up in Maine where there's a heavy Catholic influence.
Do they have morals?
Southern California, heavy Hispanic
I don't think
influence.
so.
Florida, which is an amalgamation of old people now, generally. So it is a fact that what is considered as moral in our current culture is not, or even subcultures, okay, is not necessarily considered moral in a different culture, nor is what is considered a common expected result or response in our culture is what is considered a common or expected result or response in other cultures. In addition, what is considered a common or expected result or response in all culture at this current time is not what was considered a common or expected result or response in the past, nor will it necessarily be so in the future. When I was growing up, okay, I'm 80 years old. When I was 10 years old, you could find a drunk puking in his shoes, sitting on the curb out in front of Pete's Club Tavern, which was the local tavern, Carnation, where I grew up. Okay, excuse me, I would have to be 10. We moved to Carnation when I was 10. He would be sitting on a curb, puking in his shoes, and you could tell him that it was okay for a man to have sex with a woman, or he could have a man could have sex with another man,
What?
and he wouldn't make any difference. And he'd say, "Are you nuts?" Now the first one he'd agree with, but man, homosexuality, having sex with another man, that drunk would have looked at you and went, "Are you nuts?"
Yeah.
He would.
Yeah.
He'd say, "No, that's impossible.
That was 1950.
That would be moral." Yep. You could find someone who was a whoremongering adulterer and tell him it was okay for homosexuality to take place. And he would say, "Are you nuts?" But today, 60% of Christians
Right.
think that homosexual marriage is just fine.
Right.
Are you nuts?
Yes.
Are you nuts? Obviously, we are in the 40%.
That was my first impression.
Yeah,
Are you?
we are in the 40% that would say,
Yeah.
"Are you nuts?" Gender Same way. When I was growing up, the sex you were born with was your gender.
Yes.
Right.
But today, they say, no, gender and sex
Sorry.
are two different things.
You know what?
The sex is what you were born as. The gender is what you choose to
They
be.
can take it off or put it on and you're still.
And again, we
gonna be a
get back to
male or
that.
female.
What?
I don't care.
Are you nuts?
Yes.
But you understand what I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mom.
So,
Not really.
at this current time, it's not what was considered a common or expected result or response in the past, nor will it necessarily be so in the future. Therefore, we must dispose of common sense as a tool of judgment and expectation, moral or otherwise. This means that we must find and use some other basis for our judgments and expectations, moral or otherwise. So now we're going to read a little bit here. Moral decision.
Yeah.
Note, the following excerpt is from, and that is given on the screen there if you'd like to look it up.
Google.
So, quote, what is the basis for moral decision making? So this is called moral decision.
Okay.
Do we follow a religious command? Does our conscience direct a decision? Can we argue for universal rights of human beings as guidance in our judgment? Do we base our verdict on the principle of making the world a better place? Or are we arguing for a duty to pursue the right intention? Now, this is secular. This is even what the seculars, scholars and philosophers.
10 Commandments, just.
Okay? So, ethics, according to the Cambridge Dictionary of Philosophy, is, quote, the philosophical study of morality. So that's all ethics, that's all it is philosophically studying morality. So that's why I said morals and ethics. So we're going to philosophically study it a little bit. So really we're into ethics right now, getting to morality. So philosophy is the philosophical study of morality to determine what values and guidelines are most appropriate answers to the above questions has occupied the thoughts and discussions of philosophers throughout the centuries. As for the philosophers, the task to determine whether a certain basis for morality decision making, and why I say a certain basis is because there are about a half a dozen or more. Yes, Daniel.
Isn't most philosophy changed?
Philosophy, the result of philosophical thinking has changed, but philosophical thinking answers three questions. Where did I come from? How should I live while I'm here? And where am I going? Now their answers have changed.
That's what I mean. Over the
Yeah,
years,
the answers
I've
have changed, but philosophy itself still is really based around the same three questions. So philosophy, the result, the answers, yes, that has changed radically.
and they're changing all the time.
Yeah. In fact, Socrates, who was considered the father of modern philosophy. But now you have to also consider Chinese philosophy, which is different than Western philosophy,
And way more
which is modern philosophy. You have to consider African philosophy. Now, the problem with modern philosophy, Western philosophy, is when Socrates started what is considered modern philosophy, they considered China, we don't know anything about China. They didn't know anything about the Hindus, which do not exist. The term Hindu means beyond the Indus River. That was, forget it. We don't have any idea. The Greeks had no idea of what was going on in what we would call India and that general area of the world. Nor did they know anything about Chinese or Japanese philosophy.
for African.
And so what they said was, why don't we just start with the Greeks?
Wow.
And that's where our modern Western philosophy came from. Okay? So if you're going to talk about philosophy, Chinese philosophy was to answer the same three questions. Where did I come from? How should I live while I'm here? And where am I going when I die? The Japanese philosophy was based on those same three questions, as was the African philosophy. So, yes, Dan.
Are you separating philosophy with morality?
Philosophy is the study of where did I come from?
Right.
How should I live while I'm here? And where am I going
God.
when I die? Right? So philosophy does answer questions of morality, but it's from very various bases. Okay? So philosophy is the study of those three questions. Morality, we're going to get to. Ethics is the philosophical study of morality. So we're kind of going
Astray.
Yeah. So we're going to get back to here, all right?
Can't get back from here.
4 centuries. As for the philosophers, the task to determine whether a certain basis for moral decision making or theory is more appropriate than others requires our ability to analyze diverse positions and critically assess those. So your critical thinking is going to be involved in this class. Finally, such a discourse should enable us to argue convincingly for our own moral decision making. We have our own basis, which we're going to get to. It's only one of about a half a dozen. Okay? So that's the end of that reference. We will now begin our study by trying to ascertain if there are some universal moral principles which transcend time and culture. Now, those should be the basis of common sense, shouldn't they? If they're universal moral principles, all right? But the problem is those change with culture and time.
Exactly.
Now, there are some universal, what are some universal moral principles?
Well,
How they are applied varies from culture to culture. Because even as Christians, we have certain moral principles, right? Does every Christian follow those same moral principles?
no.
That's application. You see the difference? They say, well, we get our morals from the Bible, our morality from the Bible. But not every Christian agrees with every moral principle in the Bible. If they did, they would follow them, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Application. Do all Christians that we know personally follow all of the moral principles that we believe personally are from the Bible? No, they don't. You can narrow it down to our church. Now, every member of our church follows the same moral principles 100%.
No, of course
Remember, after all, we're only human.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the reason we sin,
not.
but it's never
An excuse.
an excuse. It's the reason, but not an excuse. And so we're now going to go what the secular group says are universal moral principles and why they say they are universal.
Here we go.
Universal moral, yes, what? Oh.
Here we go.
Universal moral principles are values or rules found consistently across diverse cultures and historical periods, time. See what we talked about earlier in common sense? Diverse cultures and historical periods. As of 2026, researchers and philosophers identify several core principles that guide human cooperation and conduct. The following lists are not gradations of importance, meaning they're not numbered in ascendance from least important to most important. All right? It's just a list. It's not saying number 1 is the most important, number 2 is not quite so important. So it's not listed that way. It's just simply a list of universal principles. The 7 universal moral rules. Large-scale cross-cultural studies, including landmark research, from the University of Oxford have identified 7 moral rules that appear in nearly every society surveyed. Nearly. There goes that common thing again. Common sense. Nearly. Okay. Appear in nearly every society surveyed. These rules are rooted in the theory of morality as cooperation. That'll be explained later. Okay? From the University of Oxford website, news and events. That's why I can use them, because they're on the internet out there for everybody. 7 moral rules found all around the world. Anthropologists at the University of Oxford have discovered what they believe to be 7 universal moral rules. The rules: help your family, help your group, return favors, be brave, defer to superiors, divide resources fairly, and respect others' property were found in a survey of 60 cultures from all around the world. Previous studies have looked at some of these rules in some places, but none have looked at all of them in a large representative sample of societies. The reason they can do that today is because of the internet.
Oh.
Yeah. Before, how would they do it? Well, they'd have to send telegrams or make a phone call or gather up a bunch of money and go to 60 different cultures and spend probably years doing it. Okay? So the internet is a wonderful boon and a wonderful curse, just like anything else. You can use a pistol as a boon to your family to hunt for food, feed your family. Or you can use it as a curse and wind up in prison because you shot your neighbor and stole his food. So the tool is neutral. The internet is neutral.
Yeah.
It's just a tool.
Right.
It can be wonderful research. It can be used to make what we do on Sunday night. All of those videos. Without the internet, I couldn't do it.
Right.
I couldn't. And so there are 70,000 children pornography sites on the internet. So it can also be used as a curse. It's a tool.
Yeah.
That's how you use it.
Yes.
That's why my email is set to not show pictures and graphics.
Good.
When I get my email, I don't want to get an email from the Benevolent Society of the Netherlands or, wherever. And when I open the email, there's a nude woman on there
Oh, man.
or a nude kid on there. So when I open my email, there are no pictures and no graphics. There's nothing but the text. I have to do that because there are 70,000. That was the last time I checked, which was probably, I'll bet that's been at least 4 or 5 years ago. They bust hundreds of them every year, and there are thousands to take their place. All right? And so it can be a great boon or a great curse. So previous studies have looked at some of these rules in some places, but none have looked at all of them in a large representative sample of societies. The present study, published in Current Anthropology, is the largest and most comprehensive cross-cultural survey of morals ever conducted. The team from Oxford's Institute of Cognitive and Evolutionary Anthropology, part of the School of Anthropology and Museum Ethnography, studying ethnic groups and so forth, ethnography, analyzed ethnographic accounts of ethics from 60 societies comprising over 600,000 words from over 600 sources. Dr. Oliver Scott Curry, lead author and senior researcher at the Institute for Cognitive and Evolutionary Anthropology, said, quote, "The debate between moral universalists and moral relativists, that will be explained, has raged for centuries, but now we have some answers. People everywhere face a similar set of social problems and use a similar set of moral rules to solve them. As predicted, these 7 moral rules appear to be universal across cultures. Everyone, everywhere shares a common moral code. That in itself is not true based upon the previous sentence. Think about it. People everywhere face a similar set of social problems and use a similar, oh, wait a minute. I thought it said similar. Use a similar set of moral rules to solve them. As predicted, these 7 moral rules appear to be universal across cultures. Everyone, everywhere. Well, now, wait a minute. I thought he just said similar.
Yeah.
Is similar not common?
Similar
Everyone,
means they are similar, but
the
not
same.
everyone, everywhere shares a common moral code. If they are similar, they are not everybody, everyone, everywhere. And so you see what they're doing?
My car has 4 wheels, your car has 4 wheels.
Yeah, my car has 4 wheels, your car has 4 wheels, except my car right now has only got 3 wheels because they got one of them off working on it. So you cannot say that at all time that my car and your car both have 4 wheels.
That's right.
Your car and my car are similar in that usually they have 4 wheels. So I just want you to be aware and use your critical thinking that when you're reading these things, sometimes they contradict themselves.
It's kind of common.
Yes.
But it sounds real good. It sounds real good that everyone everywhere shares a common moral code.
No.
All agree. No, if it's similar, it's not all.
No.
Okay? All agree that cooperating, promoting the common good is the right thing to do. The study tested the theory that morality evolved to promote cooperation, and that because there are many types of cooperation, there are many types of morality. According to this theory of morality as cooperation, kin selection explains why we feel a special duty of care for our families and why we abhor incest. Mutualism explains why we form groups and coalitions. There is strength and safety in numbers, and hence why we value unity, solidarity, and loyalty. Let me move it up here. Social exchange explains why we trust others, reciprocate favors, feel guilt and gratitude, make amends, and forgive. And conflict resolution explains why we engage in costly displays of prowess, such as bravery and generosity, why we defer to our superiors, why we divide disputed resources fairly, and why we recognize prior possession. Now, have you ever been in a group where everybody did all of those?
Nope. You can't
No.
use a blanket statement.
I don't care where you go. I don't care if you're in a church or in a bar. Not everybody follows all of those.
Blanket statements don't work.
And whether it's my family or your 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 family or any other family,
That's right.
not all of the members of those families follow all of the rules of the family for the good of the family.
No.
One of the largest group of cases in court today, and it has been for, I would say probably 20 or more years, is children suing their parents or parents suing their children.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yep.
And so these are just generalities. And when he uses specific language like everyone or all of this, and no, it's just shaky ground. So, the research found first that these 7 cooperative behaviors were always considered morally good. Second, examples of most of these morals were found in most societies. So isn't he backtracking a little bit here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most. Yeah. So, crucially, there were no counter-examples, no societies in which any of these behaviors were considered morally bad. And third, these morals were observed with equal frequency across continents. They were not exclusive preserve of the West or any other region. So, among the Amhara, flouting kinship obligation is regarded as a shameful deviation, indicating an evil character. In Korea, there exists an egalitarian community ethic of mutual assistance and cooperation among neighbors and strong in-group solidarity. Reciprocity is observed in every stage of Garo life and has a very high place in the Garo social structure of values. Among the Measai, I may not be pronouncing that correct, but it's the best I can do. Among the Measai, those who cling to warrior virtues are still highly respected, and the uncompromising ideal of supreme warriorhood involves ascetic commitment to self-sacrifice in the heat of battle as a supreme display of courageous loyalty. The Bemba exhibit a deep sense of respect for elders' authority. When I was growing up, we had the Bemba ethic. Because if I did not respect my elders, I would get a Bemba in the head.
Whoa.
That's what I'd get. I would. My wife, that's in heaven, when she was about 13, she thought she wouldn't mind me telling you this because she's in heaven. When she was about 13, she let her mouth overload her mind. And she called her mother a bitch.
Oh.
And all of a sudden she was laying on the ground looking up at the ceiling
Yeah.
without a thought. Now, somebody's going to probably contact me and say, well, child abuse. Without a thought. When she called her mom a bitch, her dad went, bam!
Whoa.
It just was a reflex. And she went right over on the ground. Because you just didn't do that.
Right.
It was not even heard of.
Right.
Same thing in mine.
And so, but the Bemba exhibit a deep sense of respect for elders' authority. Because it was a reflex. Wow, that was it.
Who are the Bemba?
It was just a group, a culture of people in some country that they did research on. All right. So from us, when I was growing up, the Bemba would have been you didn't do that kind of stuff.
Right.
The Kapauku idea of justice is called uta, half-half, the meaning of which comes very close to what we call equity. I do you, you do me the same. Equity, equal. Okay? I gotta move it up because I can't see it from over here. Called equity. And among the Tarahumara, respect for the property of others is the keystone of all interpersonal relations. The study also detected variation on a theme. Although all societies seem to agree on the 7 basic moral rules, they varied on how they prioritize or rank them. The team has now developed a new moral values questionnaire to gather data on modern moral values. That'll probably set them papers on fire. Or if it's online, it'll probably short out their computer.
Right.
So to gather data on modern moral values.
Gotta go to Google.
And actually, you probably know my personal estimation of modern moral values. And is investigating whether cross-cultural variation in moral values reflects variation in the value of cooperation under different social conditions. According to Professor Harvey Whitehouse, anthropologists are uniquely placed to answer long-standing questions about moral universals and moral relativism. Our study was based on historical descriptions of cultures from around the world. This data was collected prior to and independently of the development of the theories that we were testing. Okay, historical descriptions. We have another problem. History is written
By the victim.
by the winners.
Yeah.
Yep. History is written by the winners. The historical accounts of history in Great Britain under very chaste queens was probably pretty slanted when they gave the history of the people. They would have had to do like was done in the Old Testament. Some of the language in the originals in the Old Testament was just a little too crude. It was very descriptive, and you understood exactly what they meant when they used that word. But when they collated the text, they and Abraham took her into his home and knew her. Those were not exactly the words that were used originally. Okay? So when you get here, when he said it was based on historical descriptions of cultures, that history probably was not exactly what that culture did during that time. So there were holes in it. But they did the best they could. Future work will be able to test more fine-grained predictions of the theory by gathering new data even more systematically out in the field. So they're going to go out in the field. We hope that this research helps to promote mutual understanding between people of different cultures and appreciation of what we have in common and how and why we differ, added Curry. End of article. The 7 universal moral rules. I'm just going to read through them because we're running out of time. I want you to go on and read some more. I'll be giving you some more pages. All right. The 7 universal moral rules. Helping family, kin selection. A special duty of care for relatives. Number 2, helping your group, valuing unity, solidarity, and loyalty to one's social circle or coalition. Reciprocity, social exchange, returning favors, fulfilling promises, and reciprocating benefits. Bravery, showing courage in the face of danger or conflict. Number 5, respect for authority, deference, deferring to superiors or recognizing leaders. Number 6, fairness, dividing resources fairly or equally. Number 7, respect for property rights, recognizing prior possession and not stealing. Well, let's see. We're going to, I'm going to back up for just a second here. Okay. We're going to put these to the test here in the United States. All right, here we go. Number 1, helping family, kin selection, a special duty of care for relatives. Why do we have old folks' homes?
To lock away what the family doesn't want to take care of.
Family doesn't want to take care of them for several reasons. Could be financial. It could be fear of death. That's why people today fear death so much. It used to be that grandma was laying in the bed over there dying, and mama, her daughter, my mama, or whatever, your mama, used to be, they'd be sitting there with the Bible, reading to grandma. All right. Talking about the resurrection. How wonderful it's going to be. Resurrected, this mortal must put on immortality. Or maybe they called a preacher, and he came over to the home where grandma was dying on the bed, and all the kids and the grandkids, and maybe the grandkids were sitting around, and the preacher was reading, this mortal must put on immortality. This corruptible must put on incorruption. O grave, where is thy victory? You'd be reading that, and the kids are thinking grandma's going to go home to be with the Lord. Now, grandma is someone that maybe on her birthday, Mom and Dad take them to the nursing home.
Possibility.
And they go into a building full of strangers, and a stranger tells them at the desk how to get to Grandma's room. And on the way down, they see all these strangers walking and strangers in wheelchairs, and they go to a room, and they open a room that doesn't look like anything like home, anything at all like home, and Grandma's laying in a bed, and there's nobody else in the room there. And the kids are looking there, and Grandma is coughing and obviously about ready to die. And maybe a nurse will come in and Mom and Dad will take the kids away so the kids don't see Grandma die. Where's the Bible? Where's God? Where's Christ? Where's the preacher? Maybe a preacher is there. But you know, when I had the nursing home ministry, I never saw one preacher in any of the rooms where those people lived and where they were dying. Never saw a preacher. The only time, you know, whenever I saw a preacher in a room is when I went in there to talk to him. That was it. Helping family applied to the United States. We failed that one. We failed that one. How about helping your group, valuing unity, solidarity, and loyalty to one social circle or coalition? And when you need help, where is your social group? Well, I'm sorry, I had a prior appointment over here. I had to go over there. You know, I had to go visit Grandma over there. And well, can you help me tomorrow? Well, I'm not going to be back for 3 days, or my pickups broke down. You find that constantly in our culture. And I'm afraid we failed at that one too. Reciprocity, social exchange, returning favors, fulfilling promises, and reciprocating benefits. Well, you know, the problem I have with that one is when I was growing up in my hometown of Carnation, our saying was, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Only do it first and then cut out. I think we failed on that one too. Bravery, showing courage in the face of danger or conflict. All right? We were talking about that the other day. We failed in that one too. You know why? Because of what we were talking about, the ones that came home from Vietnam and were called baby murderers, baby killers. Doing it today. Group that came around, religious group that came over to Bible Baptist over there. They were with the same church that goes to the funerals of our military martyrs, carrying signs that say God hates the Army. God hates the Marines. God hates the Navy. No, God hates the soldiers. And bravery. Now, respect for authority. You got to respect the man. You got to respect the office, even if you don't respect the man. It's just that simple. And what's been on the news just the last few days that they're beating it to death, and I'm not even going to go into that. Fairness, dividing resources fairly or equally. We fail on that one too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
All these things depend on definitions.
These things depend on application and obedience too. Yep.
A different
So,
definition for these
respect for property rights, recognizing prior possession and not stealing. Before we moved into the parsonage, someone broke into it.
Oh, I know.
Before we ever put one piece of paper or one article of clothing in there, we had walked through it, but we had not moved anything in. And we came back one day and I asked Gracia, I said, did you leave the door open? She says, is the door open? I said, yeah, the door's open. We went in, they'd come in, they went into her bed. Oh, excuse me, she did have some stuff in her room.
Oh, perfect.
She had some clothes hanging up, and a bunch of empty purses.
Yeah.
And they had gone through all the purses to see if there was any money. They went into the other bedroom and they used the toilet. But the door was broken. They pushed it in. Before we ever moved in, we had put a few things in there, like a few things in that closet. But so, respect for property rights. It seems to me I heard a story about Heritage Baptist Church.
Yep.
Some years back, people came in and every door in the building was kicked in.
Right. Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess they didn't steal anything. They just kicked in the doors and
It was
vandalized
fun.
the place.
It's not a vandalizer. It
Yeah.
wasn't only our church.
When I lived up in Ellensburg, we came home one day. Someone had kicked the door in, simply tore everything up in the house and defecated on the floor. Oh no, that was when we were in Texas. We were in Texas. They tore everything up in the house, defecated. In case you
your
don't know
house?
what that means, they pooped on the floor
In your house?
in the house. And they stole a couple of rugs, a couple of 9 by 5 rugs. And then that's what they did. So, respect for property rights.
Very good.
Well, I'm sorry, maybe they didn't come to the United States because they lived in Oxford. Where is Oxford?
England.
England. Maybe when they were doing the cultures, they forgot to come to the United States. Or, knowing England, maybe they forgot to investigate England too, because the same thing's happening over there as happening here. So as a country, we fail in all of these.
Nobody knows what respect is.
No.
That's
So
what I mean.
I don't think that these 7 are really accepted around the world.
No, they're not.
If they are, they're only accepted out of the mouth,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Lip service.
Not in the mind, not in the heart, not in the soul, and not in the body. I would say mind only. So we have to stop there. I've kept you about 10 minutes over, but you're still going to get to go home early.
Yeah.
So please read on, further on. We'll pick up with the broad ethical principles right there next week. Any questions? And I do want you to make these comments and ask questions. This is part of your critical thinking series. Okay?
Crazy.
We have to critically think of, and remember in critical thinking, you not only have to know why you believe what you believe, but you have to know why those that believe something else, why they believe. Because if you don't know why they believe what they believe, you can't give a biblical answer of why they're wrong. Okay? So we will get to divine command theory after we go through some more of this. So this is going to be quite an involved class, and I appreciate you all being here.
But I think from Africa, when the missionary came from Africa,
Yeah.
they didn't teach us the really
It was British influence.
that mix.
Yeah, it was British influence mostly, but not where you come from. See, a lot of people think the British ran all of Africa. No, they did not. The Germans ran the south. The French ran Togo.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it was not all British.
German, before we were German, they
German? Yeah. Yeah, and
The first-
South Africa especially.
the first war when he beat
Yeah.
Hitler, French and England take Togo and share. England one to Ghana, one to Benin. You know, they give all the small.
Yeah. And in the United States, when the missionaries from England came to the U.S., went to the Native Americans, they would not allow the husbands and wives to sit together in church. No. When the Native Americans came to church, the women sat on one side with the kids, men sat on the other side. You know why?
No.
Because you were not married in the church, therefore God doesn't recognize your marriage.
Oh my.
Yep. God, you're fornicating. So now you got to have the missionary marry you, then you can sit together. So it depended on the culture and the time and the country from which the missionary came. Whether it was from, same thing in Africa, whether it was from Germany, from France, from England. The French and the English did not have the same moral codes. They did not. And so the Germans would have been influenced by Luther, which means they would have really had the moral code of the Catholic Church,
Yes.
which is handed down. And many of the Catholics taught the same thing to the, that's why they wouldn't allow the men and women to sit together. It's because you had to be married in the church for God to recognize you're married. So it's going to be an interesting class. Yeah.
Why the fact that everybody didn't make it.
So everybody had to come get married. That's why in many African countries, they have a public ceremony and they have a ceremony in church.
Yes.
2 ceremonies. Very common.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you get married in church. Same thing happens here in the United States. Your marriage in church is not a marriage unless you have a marriage license.
Right.
Until 1910 to 1920, there was no such thing as a marriage license. People got together, bought the family Bible, the new family. In the middle of it was a marriage certificate.
Yeah.
They did the wedding, signed the certificates, it stayed in the Bible. Social Security came out, marriage licenses. That's why, it was because of Social Security. We'll get into that some other time. I promised you I'd let you go early.
Yeah.
All right, so, Brother Spillman, would you dismiss us in prayer? He's had so many questions across his face during this class, as you all have. You're going, why did they say that? What? Go ahead, dismiss us in prayer, please.
Father, we thank you for this day that you've given us, and we thank you for this time, especially together in your house and your word, Father. We just thank you for what you've given us. We thank you for what we've learned. Just pray that we'll carry it forth from here and never lose it. We just ask that you bless it, give us a safe return to our homes. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. As you figured out, this first part is to teach you what not to believe.
Yeah.
No, Africa.
But it also
Africa,
will enable you to answer them when they say, well, no, I
Africa
believe
people
this.
say
Yeah, but
no.
no,
The Bible is don't like to
It's hard.
study the Bible because they
I'm
liar.
gonna go ahead and get us
They
offline.
come to take everything
And
for them and
Everybody
kill
wave
them.
goodbye to Jeremy.
Bye,
Bye,
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Bye, Jeremy. He just waved back. All right.
Oh.